Many of you guys might not know this, but June 1st is actually a massive date for the NFL calendar, and it has some massive implications on Jaire Alexander's future and how quickly he might be with or gone for the Green Bay Packers. Many Green Bay insiders from Locked On Packers, ESPN, believe that a resolution could be coming very, very soon for Jaire Alexander, and it all hinges on the fact that we are already past June 1st. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel before we continue on. Here's the final from our May sub battle against the Vikings. We had an unbelievable last day. We won it, and we won it by like 23 subs, so nice and comfortably. Thank you guys so much, every single one of you guys who subscribed to a historic month for us right here at the Packers Report, okay? Most subs we've ever gained, and we're not done yet. We're going to continue the sub battle in June, except this time we're taking on the entire NFC North. It starts today, ends the last day of June, and I need you guys to help me out, all new viewers, people who have not subscribed yet, and get us off to a really hot start against our Bears channel, our Lions channel, and of course that Vikings channel as well. So if you haven't yet, join us today by subscribing. Alrighty, let's talk about what June 1st might mean for the future for Jaire Alexander with Green Bay. Peter Bukowski hit us off and is starting us off with an awesome little tidbit on the day. June 1's arrival makes it easier for the Green Bay Packers to either move on from Jaire Alexander or push harder for a pay cut to keep him in town. So why is that day so important? Why was yesterday so important? Okay, and I want to remind you, like, the fact that it happened yesterday and it's June 2nd today, it doesn't mean like it's over. June 1st was just like the beginning of these things being able to happen, if that makes sense. So basically, if there's any dead money in a player's contract and he is released or retires, that charge will accelerate onto the team's salary cap for the current year. And on June 2nd, which is today, any release player will only have current season's prorated money count against the salary cap, and the rest will be deferred into 2026. So let's put this into numbers term, because I don't know about you guys, I'm more of a numbers guy. It makes more sense to me looking at numbers than just hearing descriptions. So the cap savings, if Jaire Alexander was cut or traded before June 1st, so May 31st from the end of the season, $7.6 million. That's how much Green Bay would have saved pre-June 1st. Now that we are after June 1st, Green Bay can save $17.1 million by either cutting or trading Jaire Alexander. And it works also not just with cap savings, but what it counts against them in dead cap. If they cut him pre-June 1st, which we already know they didn't, that would have been a $17 million dead cap hit. Now that goes down to only $7.5 million now that we are after June 1st. So what is dead cap, you ask? Great question. Dead money is a salary cap charge for a player no longer on a team's roster. Typically, it stems from guaranteed money already given to a player in the form of a signing bonus who is either released, traded, or retires. And now, $7 million sounds like a lot in dead money, right? You might be saying to yourself, well, Joey, it's still $7 million. They're probably not going to do anything about it. But actually, like, if you really think about it, in terms of an NFL contract, $7 million is not that much in dead money, okay? Especially when you could save $17 million on cap savings. So what does this mean, okay? Basically, Jaire Alexander has less insurance than he did before. Any trade discussion, any discussion about releasing him from any time before June 1st, Jaire and his agent had that insurance, had that safety net to say, you know what? Count $17 million in dead cap, and they only save $7 million if they cut you or trade you right now. And they knew that, like, okay, they would only do that if someone offered a massive trade, right? They wouldn't trade him just for anything that's really small. But now that we're past that June 1st date, now that we're here and it's June 2nd, they know that they could cut him on a dime or trade him for something that maybe they weren't willing to trade him for a couple of months ago. But now that it's a $17 million savings on your cap and only a $7 million hit in dead money, Like, I don't think they have to be offered as much as they did before. And Albert Breer spoke about this on April 30th. He spoke about Jaire Alexander and what he wants. Alexander, meanwhile, would rather be cut so he can pick his destination, and he might not be willing to help with a contract adjustment to facilitate a trade. Now, that was a little bit ago, right? That was April 30th. A lot has changed since then. A lot has happened since then. But we know that probably Jaire still, would rather be cut than traded. And because of that, and because of now this new situation after June 1st, it feels a lot like Green Bay holds the power. They're the ones, it seems like, going to be calling the shots. We know that they offered the restructured contract. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But if he doesn't sign that, they basically just say, you know what, we'll save $17 million by just cutting you right now, by just trading you right now. You're only $7 million dead money. They hold a lot of the power. But I don't want to say they hold all of it, okay? Because did you know that Green Bay allowed a 9.7% lower completion percentage with Alexander on the field, 61%, compared to when he was not 70% on the field this past season, okay? So while they do hold a little bit of the power in saying, you know what, if we just cut you right now, what are you going to do about it? They do lack a little bit of power in Jaire being able to go back and say, guys, I'm a really good asset for this team. Even looking at last season and the minimal snaps that I did play because of the injury, you were better with me on the field than with me off it, statistically, right? I need you guys to be honest with me in the comment section down below. What do you think the Packers do with Jaire? Do they trade him? Do they cut him? Do they restructure him? I want you guys to let me know down below. I'm leaning towards a restructure, okay? That's kind of where I've been leaning towards for the past couple of weeks. Matt Schneimman was the one that broke the news last week saying the Packers have offered Jaire Alexander a restructured contract according to a source, but there's no resolution just yet. The two-time All-Pro plans to report to Lambeau Field for mandatory minicamp even without a new deal. And then we all remember talking about this late last week. He posted a series of Instagram posts that were interesting, a gif of money falling down. And then the subsequent picture was him taking that pick six back to the house against the Titans, which kind of makes it seem, you know what, maybe he's agreed on a deal because he probably wouldn't be posting money if he hadn't, and he probably wouldn't be posting him in a Packers uniform if he hadn't either. But I will offer a hypothetical because if you know anything about this channel, we love hypotheticals here. What happens if over the next week or two, some team sustains a massive injury at that cornerback position, and then they come calling, and they're willing to offer something more than they were maybe a couple of weeks ago, now that that need is there? I still think that's a realistic possibility, okay? And I got 4 top trade destinations for Jaire Alexander. 4 teams that I think would be most willing to trade something to get that asset in. Atlanta Falcons, Las Vegas Raiders, Minnesota Vikings, and Los Angeles Chargers. Of these 4, I think the Raiders probably are the highest percentage in my opinion. Now, I still think they're waiting on Jalen Ramsey and him to be, officially on the trade block. And I feel like there's conversations with Miami have been happening over the past couple of weeks. Nothing at the recording of this video currently has happened with Jalen Ramsey. But if they whiff on Jalen Ramsey, they still feel like they need a cornerback. They still feel like they can compete even in year 1 with a new general manager, with a new quarterback in Geno Smith. Corner's a big, big miss that they have on that defensive roster that they could help, and that could be kind of figured out if they add Jaire Alexander. With all that being said, though, I still don't see anybody, any team offering much in a trade. You lose or you miss 20 games in the last 2 seasons, a team's only going to offer so much, right? And I feel like at this point, with Green Bay having offered that restructured contract, I don't necessarily see Green Bay just cutting bait either. I feel like at the point of where we are, it just feels like a restructured deal works better for both. I don't think anybody's going to offer much in a trade. I don't see them just cutting him after offering the restructured contract unless he responds with his agent and says, you know what, I am so far away from saying yes to this deal. Then that makes sense. But I will say, with it being June 1st, it does make it a little bit interesting. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you want Jaire to stay in Green Bay? You let me know your answer by giving me a yes, give me a no. Just make sure you get down in the comment section and let me know your feelings. So my take, my prediction, I think the Packers and Jaire agree on a restructured deal, contract, sometime before the start of mandatory minicamp. The mandatory minicamp is from June 10th to the 12th. So we've got about 8 days until that happens. I got a feeling that something's going to happen in this next week or so, okay? Now, I don't have any basis for that argument, any basis with that feeling, but in covering the team, talking about this situation a lot, and just seeing where the rest of the league is at, it just feels like something's going to happen soon, okay? And at the end of the day, I just think both sides are ready to move on. I think Jaire is ready to move on. I think the Packers are ready to move on. And when I say move on, I just mean move on from this subject. I think they're ready for everybody to stop talking about it, stop covering it, and just move on to 2025 with both sides in agreement and with a new deal. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter and on Instagram. You can find me at Joey Petersen 8 on both of those platforms. Twitter, I cover the Packers daily. Instagram, you're not going to see much Packers content, but you can see content of my wife, my dog, my friends, my family. So go hit me up there as well. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Again, we are battling the entire NFC North this month. It's going to be a big one. I need you guys to help me out by subscribing.